Hey, how's everybody doing? We're in here now on the live, Mel Live. As I look at my phone for a minute so I can get this set up. My channel, Mel Live, one watching. Is that me or is that somebody else? Turn off my volume on my phone. Welcome to Mel Live. Love. Welcome to Mel Live. Here I am, ready to answer your questions, talk about wood things, go over, seriously, anything you want to go over. Okay. So now, all right, I think we have a couple people in here now. Yeah, how you doing, Benjamin? Glad to see you in here, buddy. Put on my Felder hat just for some of the discard people. They like razzing me because it's not here yet. Although I did receive an email this morning stating that the Felder machine has in fact made it to America. It's at the dock right now. Very excited about that. Really looking forward to getting that bad boy into the shop and sharing it with you. Benjamin says we would never razz you for the Felder not being there yet. Yeah, Sharif, North or South. Hey, Sharif, how you doing, buddy? North or South America. Funny enough, Felder did not specify which America it was in. So that could be North or South. Good point. I didn't consider that. Or Central America. I'm just happy it's in America. Some America, somewhere. Maybe, yeah, not Atlanta, Derek. How you doing, Derek? Glad to see you in here, buddy. It's at the dock in Atlanta, not Atlanta. Oh, Atlantis. Do we know where that is? Derek says, off the boat. Benjamin, love you, Mel. I love all of you. That's why we're here. Awesome, buddy. Right side of the flat earth, Sharif. I don't know this about Sharif. Are you a flat earther, Sharif? We can go over that. I love different theories and conspiracy theories and talking about different things that are interesting. Not just woodworking. This is your time to talk about whatever you want. I wouldn't miss it. Apparently Benjamin does not want to talk about, and Derek does not want to talk about flat earth. Sharif needs his tinfoil hat first. That's fine. Like I said, man, we're just here to have fun. If this is about wood, it's about wood. But if you don't ask questions about wood, we won't talk about wood. You can ask me anything. This is our time to talk about not working. Correct. Correct, Derek. Like I said, man, seriously. I'm just here to have fun and talk about anything at all. Which Laguna is that? The bandsaw, Benjamin? 1412. Would you like a better look at it? We can do some, I can cut something with it. You can see how awesome it is and add that to your list of things you need to buy. The list is growing, apparently. What would you like to see about it, Mr. Ben? Yeah, he could buy the bandsaw after he gets the 62. I'd make an argument that you need a bandsaw before you need the 62. For those who are unaware, 62 is a low-angle jack plane from Lee Nielsen. It's a fantastic hand plane, especially for the guys that aren't 100% into loving everything hand tools. It's very versatile hand plane for a number of reasons, not the which of least. It's you can sharpen the blade differently and get different results. But if it's sharp, you can do anything. No, it's the top-rated band. It is, yes, absolutely. It's the top-rated bandsaw in that. Let's just walk over here and talk about it. Carrying my chat box with me. So, I have the chat over here on my. See how the drum sander. So I was holding my phone for the chat, so you can see that. Man, I'm working without a net here. Literally, no nets. So, can you see that? Ben? Yeah, Derek, Supermax. So there's the Laguna bandsaw, and I'm balancing this on a bunch of books that I'm not going to read. So, awesome, cool. So KNC. A few things about this bandsaw that I really like. Number one, it's a place for my llamas. So there's the llama up here. There's a llama over here. You know, joining the party. How you doing? I keep him on the tension knob lever so I can lower the blade. So if the llama is down, the blade is detension. The llama falls off. So blade's tension. Because if your blade is over a ½ inch, you shouldn't need to detension it every single time. Yeah, Benjamin, you can get a drum sander too, buddy. This guy needs everything. Let me get me into the frame a little bit. So basically, it's a bandsaw. You know, it's a really good one though. So you have your wheel here, very standard stuff. That locks nicely. What I really like about this bandsaw is it has a locking knob on the back, and I can raise and lower the guide just with this hand wheel right here. So it's a lot better than having to move this manually. And I can just lock it. Like so, I have my piece of material, a little offcut of cherry, kind of not a really super awesome board. Yeah, Dick, same bandsaw, same drum sander. Love it. Your neighbor has a man friend that wants to sell his Grizzly drum sander. Yeah, just run a couple boards through it, make sure it's working properly. Nothing wrong with those. You don't have Laguna over there, Sharif? I can mail you one. Yeah, Derek's correct. Check the model of that Grizzly drum sander first. There's very few things I can recommend Grizzly without knowing more about it. So awesome. So back to drum sander minute. Got a bunch of wax over here now. So also like the guide. You know, your defense mechanism slides nicely. And also you can lay it down for thin material. Can you see that? I know this isn't optimal. I'll do a better walkthrough of this. Yeah, so you can loosen these knobs up on the side. Again, sorry, not ideal. So right here you can loosen up these knobs. You can slide this fence out completely. If you notice there's the track on both sides. So you can slide it back in. Tighten up your knobs. Now you have more of a resaw type capacity on your fence. And I hardly ever use this. But you could just resaw a board. This board isn't flat, so I'm not going to do it. But it's kind of flat. So that's basically, you get more swingy around. Woo! So what I'm saying is, taller fence, you get more registration. You may or may not want that or need that or think that's important. All right, Sharif, you gotta go. All right, thanks for joining in. Hope you catch the recap. Video should be live, or not live. Should be available after the stream is over. So just catching up on some comments. Nifty, that's cool. Awesome. Yeah, it's really a cool bandsaw. That's not the only cool thing it does. The other thing it does is it cuts material very well, as any bandsaw should. But it has a higher powered motor than the Grizzly I had before, which is helpful for thicker material. Have some dogs in here. Just trying a different format. I don't like standing for an hour. Hey Daniel, how you doing, buddy? No, I do not have Carter guides on the bandsaw. I just have the normal ones that came with the Laguna bandsaw. Ever have issues? Derek is asking. Ever have issues with the Supermax getting the paper to lay flat on the drum? No. I've never had any issues with the Supermax drum sander. I really like it. It's not necessary to get a drum sander, I don't think. I worked without one for years, and I didn't see it as a detriment not to have it. Just catching up on some comments. So, all right, what more questions or things do you want to go over? Derek, it takes some time to get used to with anything, because the paper, when it comes out of the roll, I don't have one handy, but because it's in a tighter circle, it has a memory, and then you just have to put it on. I really am drinking coffee today. I'm fairly tired. I have bags under my eyes, so the shadows of the hat hides that. Didn't sleep well last night. I don't know why. I think I wasn't breathing correctly. It was a little humid. So, Derek and Ben, just the other day, just for fun, remember that board that looked like garbage the other day, that cherry one last week? This is it. You can see it's shiny. And that's just, all I did was, I hand planed this with my 62. Just with that, you can see no tracks, no plane tracks in there. None at all. Just kind of showing you the board. See that chatoyance? Not really chatoyance, but I'm going to call it that. That reflection you're getting off the board. It's a really pretty piece of cherry. I'd like to use this for like a rail. You can see back here, I do have tracks on this one, kind of. Very hard to see. Um, you can see that one's really pretty too. Just hit it with the 62 plane and a little bit of the smoother just on this backside. You can see that it's basically a quarter sawn cherry, so it's really good. You generally want to use quarter sawn material for your rails and stiles of your door, because we know that that material moves less than flat sawn or any other material. So why not use that to your advantage and just use quarter sawn material for rails and stiles of your door? Because if you don't, a little bit of movement, and you're going to get unhappy because it's going to move on you if you're not properly acclimated and perfect, really. So just put the variables in your favor. It's all about eliminating variables. Most of what woodworking is removing variables from anything we do. So we know it's important to do certain things and mill things properly. You want to joint your board, run it through the planer, you want to joint an edge, rip it to width, and then you want to let it sit and sticker. So you never want your board, like you can see this right here, you never want your board just to lay flat overnight. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Remember that. Because your boards will warp on you, and then you'll ask why they warped, and people will say, did you sticker them? And you'll say no, and they'll say, well, that's why. Because more air is hitting the top, especially after you mill it. I've had this board for years. This is an air-dried piece of cherry. It's gorgeous. And it's even quarter sawn. Even so, if I had just run this through the machine at a heavy setting and removed the amount of material that I had to remove, which was a lot, because this board was the same. I'll show you how much I had to hand plane this board just to get it flat in parallel, because both sides are parallel. Make square the edge. So much. It's just parallel, and it's no rock in the board. A little nail right there. No rock in the board. None at all. Perfectly flat. So here's the board I started with. This is honestly the same board. I just cut it on the bandsaw. I'll show you where the grain matches up. So this was the same board. And you can see the different thickness. See that? Just to give you a reference, because it's hard to tell on TV. This is basically 5/8 of an inch thick. I started with a board almost an inch. So I had to remove a little under 3/8 of an inch to get this board flat and parallel, because it had a lot of twist in it. It doesn't look like that's going to be really hard to get flat, but it really warped and twisted. So to get that twist out, I had to remove, like I said, about 3/8 of an inch, all with hand planes. So when you do that, you get lots of shavings. And shavings are fun for fires. So you get the thick ones. This is like just hogging material off. So how thick that is and gnarly. People like that. Then you get the real thin ones. These whisper shavings. Yeah, Derek Felder isn't here yet. But I did it with hand tools just to, not to prove a point. Okay, I did it to prove a point. You can still make things with hand tools. You don't need, you know, you don't need machines to do everything. Especially when you're starting off. You know, you don't need a $50,000 workshop when you're, you know, to make some things for your family or to make some gifts for Christmas. Grab a hand plane. This is, honestly, man, this is like the shittiest bench I could think of. It's just MDF on a piece of plywood, and it's wobbly a little bit. And if I really try to wiggle it, it's going to move. And you're not even going to believe me, but I don't even have a tail vise right now. All I did, seriously, I took this drill and this little screw, I screwed it down into my bench. See? See that screw? I just screwed that. I put this board on there. And I use that for my stop. To do all of that hand planing. So you don't need all that stuff. That's where, see, I just bumped it up against the stop. But you see right here, these indentations, all of that's from that screw. See here, they're not on this side so much because I just put one in there just to show you. But the grain direction was running this way. So that's why they're all on this stop. So when I'm planing, I had to stop. And, you know, you have the middle of they're on the left to the right. You can see they're all the way across almost. Because I center, like here's where the screw is. So put this edge of the board right here against the stop. And then I moved it. So the center of the plane is centered on the screw. Daniel asks if I tried the tooth blade on the 62. No, I haven't. I've been wanting to try it. I will tooth my bench top when I build a proper workbench. Yeah, Benjamin actually did buy my tail vise. Very nice of him. He's really going to come in handy. It's certainly a lot easier and quicker than using a screw, you know, for a tail vise or a stop. You know, it's a pain in the ass to use these workarounds. It's not efficient at all. What plastic inserts, Benjamin? Oh, the dogs? I tried using these, but these are Quaz dogs. So these are QWAS dogs. I think they just spell it DOGS, not dogs, you know. But I tried to use these, but you can see the problem is when I had, here you go, with the spacing I have, it was hard to get it steady like that. So I got a lot of wiggle when I was trying to push, like right here, I'm trying to plane that board to see how it moves. And these are round, there's no angle on them like there would be on a regular dog. I'll show you. So these are some, I should have tried these. Honestly, I forgot I had them. I ordered these from Chris Wong, West Coast Shop. You see his information. But I ordered these just they're simple to make, but you know, I like supporting different people in the community. So I bought these. I don't know, they're 15 bucks, 20 bucks. So then he has them, he sells them, they're like, it's like ash or oak. And he sells these guys and they already have the bumper in there, little stop. But what I wanted to show you that's important, a reference material. Square over here. Catching up real quick, hold on. Sweet, Derek has a bench, awesome. He needs a new one, right? But you can see this reference. So you can see how that is angling in slightly. I think, I'm not going to guess how many degrees it is. That's going to be silly. But you can see the top surface to the back surface. It angles in like a little Pac-Man. So what that would do, these holes are too big. But what that would do is my material, I probably could use it like that. So it would hold that material and actually bring it tight to the bench if I had a vise to push against. Maybe this, the action of pushing the plane would do that. But anyway, these are really cool. 3/4 inch hole instead of the 20 millimeter that are on the MFT style. So yeah, you know, it says Time Worn Toolworks. That's Chris Wong's site. Really good guy. He does a lot of things for the community. So 20 bucks to support him, and you get some bench dogs. That's, I don't think you can go wrong with that. Tailvice, dog, rockler, rockler. Bench. Okay, awesome. I think we're caught up with the comments. So, I'm sure there's some more questions that we can go over. Actually, I have no reference for how long we've been on TV. I ran out here so quick. I just got off the call with an architect that we're doing some stuff for. I forgot my watch. What else can we go over? So we talked about rails and styles. We talked about quarter saw material. We talked about best practices for woodworking. We went over the Laguna bandsaw a little bit. We talked about the Supermax drum sander. We can go more into that if you want to. You can see what those things do. We can hand plane a board. We can talk about really anything you want. It's just a lot of fun doing this. Awesome. So we have 4 people in here right now. That's really amazing. Someone's looking over in the chat right now. I don't know if Carl's in the chat. I haven't seen him. No one tries to ban him yet. But I would ban Carl if he jumped into the chat. Just I think that would be fun. Bench. Yeah, Derek, I'm looking at some pictures of your bench. Looks really nice. Well, why do you want to make a different one? Derek's saying Carl needs to get in here. He doesn't want to get in here because he doesn't want to get banned. I'll do it. I don't care. And going over some things. I don't know how to really post a picture and then hold it in front of you. Maybe we can do that in post-production or another situation. It's too tall for outfeed, but you want to use it as an outfeed, Benjamin? Or Derek, sorry. Yeah, you can certainly do that. Yeah, you can do that. Your hand tool workbench shouldn't be very tall, so it really could work as an outfeed table as long as you have room for the fence. I'm not going to call anybody out, but there's some guys on YouTube, and they have like a 1/4 inch drop to their workbench or their outfeed table, which is wrong. Because if you have a longer board, and more of it is past the blade than in front of the blade, it's going to tilt. You can see that in some videos. So you want to avoid that, because as the board tilts, you're going to want to have to push down on the board harder or put more effort towards it to keep that board steady when you're pushing it through the blade. Well, the blade's spinning, and I don't want to have any more force down, because the more force you have down on your push stick, you know, it's less control you have over your hand, because your control is to push down. Now I don't have control to really push forward or get out of the way. There's a number of reasons it's bad, but you know, we're talking about best practices. You know, people do the wrong things and it works for them all the time. I'm using a screw as a tail vise. That's not best practices. But I'm also not going to cut my arm off because I slipped. The idea is to butt it up to the table saw, use it for assembly as well. Derek says I'm going to use it leveling feet on the outfeed. Yeah, my garage floor isn't level either. I seriously have like 5 different levels. It's insane. I've used the levelers from Rockler. They go under like the piece of plywood, so that you can adjust them on the outside of the bench. So they would hook like right here. Then there's an Allen screw on the top. And you can just whatever. And then you can adjust them like that pretty easily. And then you can make sure you're level. The key is when you're leveling that, you just want to make sure you're coplanar with your table saw. And remember, it's always easier to level something when you're bringing it down than raising it, because you have gravity in your favor working down. Yeah, all for easier use. You're designing this thing from scratch, you know? Make it work for you. I'd like to believe that's why we're woodworkers, because we see something that's wrong with a design or with something that we've purchased, and we say, you know what? Damn it, right? Enough is enough. Let's make this how we want it to be, and no compromise other than current skill level, no compromise, and just get better at making things. You know, the first thing I made was a complete piece of crap. I wanted to make a table. This is when I was still in the Army in Washington State. I wanted to make a table for for outside, just to go on like a little. We had a little 3x5 little patio area outside of the apartment, and I wanted a table where I could just go out there and sit down. And I was working on a guitar at the time, just a guitar I bought, but I was just like, leveling the frets, and I needed something to work on. Also, somewhere to put your coffee, or water, or whatever. Just outside. There's a pretty view of the mountains is down there in Tumwater, Washington. But it was a complete piece of garbage. It's made out of 2x4s that I screwed together. But it did the job. It was fine for what it was, and it was certainly fine for the skill level and money I had at the time to put into it. Not everything is fine furniture. I know, I have a low tolerance for, it's not that I dislike plywood, or I dislike pine, or I dislike 20 other things. I think people read that wrong. It's more, I want people to try more, And Derek says, if I build it, nothing is fine furniture. Well, even so, if that's true, I don't know if it's true, but did you try your best? These are things that I try every single time I make something. Did I try my best? Hopefully that answer is yes. Did I learn something from the project? That better be yes, because I sure as hell don't know everything. I never will. None of us will. Yeah, Derek, we can all find flaws in our furniture. You're not making $80,000 tables like some guys are. I'm not making $30,000 desks. What separates us from guys that do that is really very small. Material choice is the biggest thing that separates amateurs. I'm in that group of amateurs. So I'm in that group I'm talking about right now. This thing that separates amateurs from professionals, number one, material choice. I simply don't have the money to spend, $8,000 for the best curly maple boards for a dresser I'm going to build. It's not going to happen, And Benjamin wants to buy an $80,000 table for some reason. That's fine. He needs a hand plane first. But what I'm really trying to hammer home here is just try your best at everything you do. Understand what makes your furniture, my furniture, 20,000 other people, their furniture. What makes them different? When you look at somebody's piece of furniture, and don't say, "Oh man, if I had this tool, I could build that." That's stupid. Say, okay, what was their situation like? How did they approach the build to find those clients repeatedly to sell that kind of furniture? And I'm going to go over it again, really. It's material choice, it's build quality. It's honestly how fast you can build it. People that, generally don't want to wait too long for stuff. So, I could build a flawless piece of furniture. It's going to take me a year. And if you sell one piece of furniture a year, it better sell for a lot. Yeah, Derek absolutely made a great point. He says, I think if you get to the point in your skill level, meaning an elevated skill level, people will find you in today's world, meaning with the internet, social media. Word of mouth is really meaning social media now. It's so many things. Also, Benjamin, time versus quality constraints. Look at the desk that Tommy Mac made, and he basically catalogs his entire process live through his Facebook videos. It's something like a $20,000 desk, and you say, wow, that's $20,000 desk, great. Consider this. He took a month and a half, 2 months to build it. That's 2 months out of his life. That's all he did. He taught some classes in between and made some other videos. He's a professional woodworker, and it took him 2 months. The material cost him near $4,000. So I don't know, what people make. I don't care. But 2 months salary, you got to pay yourself or you can't eat. Material is $4,000. Time, you have to have the tools to work this material. He has a, $400,000 shop, whatever. I think he said. So he has all the tools in the world. And it still took him 2 months. And he paid somebody to finish it for him, which took, I think, 2 weeks. And then you get it back and you have to put it together. All the hardware, that's another expense. So at the end of the day, you didn't get $20,000 for the table. Maybe he got 8, for 2 months worth of work, which is, a lot of people would consider that to be amazing. Cannot underestimate social media. But also, to the same point, same guy, Tommy Mac. I don't want to harp on this, but it's important that people understand. The Bombay series that he did on his own dime. He wasn't on TV then. He didn't have sponsors back then. He rented a shop in Massachusetts and built this Bombay chest, and it's gorgeous. One of the most beautiful pieces of furniture I've ever seen pictures of, and I'd love to see it in person. But he just took a camera and he filmed, had people help him, but they just filmed the process. He'd come in with his cup of coffee in the morning, bust his ass all day, and film the result. And over the series of, I think, 60 or 80 videos, he built, what should have been $1 million piece of furniture. Or, several $100,000 at least. And I'm not going to get into any of that as far as what happened there. He's documented that enough. But the point is, his own dime, building that piece of furniture, and it's flawless, truly is flawless. Filmed everything for our enjoyment. May or may not have helped him grab that TV spot. I'd say yes, which helped him in the long run. But here's the thing. He still has that Bombay chest in his possession. It never sold. And so he was paying rent. I think he's, several $1,000s, couple to several $1,000s a month in rent. The material for that chest was all genuine mahogany, like 12 quarter, to get the curve out of. It's, it's amazing. And you can't just count on building something that's beautiful and getting that reputation. And somebody will buy it. Well, he still has it. in his workshop. It's in the corner. He said collecting dust, which is a shame. Getting some comments back in the feed. Truly good finishing is hard. Yes, it is. Derek says the finishers at the mill workshop are the highest paid laborers we have. Yeah, it's a skilled trade. Highly skilled. Yeah, Derek, I agree. This isn't Tommy Mac hour, although it's turning into such. But he does incredible work, and it's a great, and he puts himself out there. Ask him anything, and he'll give you the answer. And I hope to be that honest and forthcoming with, problems that I have with builds. Because we're going to, might be a good segue. The live Q&A is awesome. I really get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I've gotten some feedback from people that really want to see more builds, which is great. That's exactly what I want to do. Right now I'm waiting for, should happen this week. I should get my power situated, running a 100 amp sub panel in my shop. I'm waiting on a major piece of equipment from my friends at Felder. And then I'm going to be making a shaker-style workbench. At least that's the plan right now. If you're familiar at all with the Hancock shaker workbench, it's a 12-foot long workbench. And it's going to take a lot of work. Could you do all that milling by hand? Obviously, they did it, 120 years ago. I can certainly do it today. I'd rather not, to be honest, to be fair. So I'm waiting on that machine. That's my cop-out. I said for the first 30 minutes of this show that don't let anything slow you down. You can do it with hand tools. And now I'm saying, screw that. I don't want to mill 12-foot lumber by hand. I'd gladly make a small table by hand, not a 12-foot workbench with hard maple top and, drawers and doors and rails and stiles and yeah, it'll be a lot of work and a lot of sweat just to get some boards flat when I can just run it through the machine, which is kind of an important situation. When I first started woodworking, I wanted to do everything by hand because I thought it was true to the craft, and boy, was I wrong. I did that for basically a year and a half, 2 years. Mostly all hand tools. I was building, I forget what I was making. I was making something, and I made a mistake. I was cutting, I think it was a table I was making, and I just made a mistake, and this top of the board was junk now. It was parallel, and then I took a gouge out of it, maybe not paying attention or forgot what I was doing, forgot what board I was on, because there's a lot of material. And then I had to re-thickness it by hand, and now everything else is wrong because I had to bring those down too. And the first piece of power equipment I bought was a planer. Probably about 20 minutes into re-flattening that board, I said, screw this. I went to Home Depot. I bought a rigid thickness planer. And then I got a cheap table saw, a little Delta on a wobbly stand. Very dangerous, but now I could cut parallel. Then the next thing I bought was what did I buy next? Bought a bandsaw. Bought the Grizzly 14-inch bandsaw. The 555, whatever, Polar Bear. And then I had a miter saw. Derek's first power tool was a miter saw. Actually, I got the table saw, the miter saw, and some nail guns that I still have from a boss I had when I was building robotic welding cells in Wisconsin. he was moving, and so I think for like $100, I got the table saw, the miter saw, some nail guns. I think that's it. And then, so I had the planer, the table saw. Man, I was ready to make shit happen, right? And then it's not that easy. You know, it took a lot of time to dial those machines in and get them to work properly. Luckily, I'm, you know, very mechanically inclined, so I was able to get those running well enough. Because it was all old, crappy woodworking tools, really meant for construction, not meant for furniture. That's a huge difference. Hi, John. How you doing? Thanks for joining. Yeah, John had some other information about Tommy, Tommy Mack, T. Chisel. But yeah, he did work as a construction worker before he turned to furniture making. And there's a well-documented timeline of his life that he goes into from time to time. And I'm not going to rehash that here. It's not my place. So go check him out if you want to see that. His journey. Because, man, he's been through a lot. Nothing but respect for him. One of my favorite woodworkers, by far. Hey, you know, work gets in the way, John. Yeah, absolutely. I gotta be honest. I took a break from what I was doing. I'm lucky enough to, right now, I'm working from home, and I'm a project manager for a company. And right now, I'm working on bids for upcoming work. And so right now, I have the time to be able to do this, and hopefully, I continue to have time to chat with everybody on a weekly basis, and also get into project videos. We was talking about the workbench I'm going to be building. We just moved to a new house, so I'm going to be building a lot of furniture for us, because we need a dining room table. We need I'm going to be building a demi-lune table for the front. I'm going to be making a kitchen table, a round one. I've never built a round table before. I think that would be really cool. John says, Tommy's an interesting guy. Not everyone's cup of tea, but he's super nice. Absolutely. You know, and I get it, you know. Tommy talks fast at times, and he's hard to understand. Not everybody can grab his accent right away. And I like him because he's so in your face, kind of. You know, he doesn't pull any punches, which is amazing. You know, you don't see that anymore. You know, too often on YouTube and Facebook videos and whatever, when someone's teaching something, it's always, you know, super nice, and there are no dumb questions, and everything's great and dandy, and it's not. You know, if you ask a dumb question on Tommy's feed, he'll tell you it's dumb, which I appreciate. I want that from somebody. I want it because I want that in your face, that raw, that abruptness, that just raw honesty. Because if you do something good, and he says, hey, you did a good job on that, or hey, I saw that picture and I really like it, or whatever, you know it's true. It's not just, hey, I saw that 2x4 piece of garbage you built and I really like it. You know, next comment, hey, I saw that plywood crap you built. It's really nice. You'll never get that from him. So I like to know where I stand with anything, with anybody. So I appreciate raw feedback, and I hope that's the type of feedback that I deliver in these chats. And Derek wants to know, did the padauk and denatured alcohol change at all over the last week? Still here. See, it got a lot more red. Do you want to see that on a board, Derek? Yeah, absolutely, Derek. Ply has a place in the world. It's called casework. Yes, 100%. I don't know if plywood has a place in fine furniture. So Derek wants to see denatured alcohol with padauk. So we have the other side of our board. You can kind of see in raking light. Has some curl to it. Here's the other side from previous weeks. See, the top is backwards. The top is cocobolo, and this was the padauk right here. So in a moment or two, we can talk about drawer bottoms. Yeah. Yeah, you could use plywood for drawer bottoms, like that 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch shit. That'll be fine. You gotta get protection. Well, this smells amazing. So because we have such little material here to work with, I'm just gonna lean my rag over, let it soak in a little bit. I just want to curl there. Do you see that? Wow, that got red, huh? It's orange. So no method to the madness here. I'm just rubbing this material on a piece of curly maple. Okay. Unfold my rag as best I can without getting my fingers orange. Now I'm going to use a fresh rag. Periodically just checking no comments. Sorry for the lapse in audio. I'm still here. Just rubbing that off. See what I rubbed off? I think that does a couple things. I think it gets it in there better. I think it picks up the wet spots. Oh man, John, do I love blue towels, blue shop towels. I buy these by the bulk. Yeah, absolutely. Let me put the lid on this. Throw in the Home Depot today. I'll grab some more denatured alcohol. Yeah. Derek, I can do that. The time lapse of a of a rag spontaneously combusting. Something I was actually thinking of doing was getting a rag and like boiled linseed oil, because it really doesn't like that stuff. Just leave it in the corner on the floor and just like kind of keep an eye on it like that, right? And just wait for that sucker to catch on fire, because it does. I mean, it's not, doesn't take long. It dries and it just crumples up, and it at first it smells kind of weird, and then poof, like magic, it just erupts. Yeah, Derek, this color is awesome, huh? So here's what we have. Yeah, Minwax has a similar color. Not as fun, though. Okay. So you saw exactly what happened here. We made, if anyone's new, we made this last week live, Mel Live, Volume 3. We made this, and all it is little pieces of padauk and denatured alcohol in a mason jar. And it's kind of unfortunate, but I ran out of denatured alcohol, so we didn't get a lot. So here's the mixture. You can see, so it picks up that figure. Yeah, there's a good shot. You see that? So that's a good shot. You can see that in the kind of the raking light. So if I sand it, I'm not going to sand this live again, but if I sanded it, this portion would look more like this again, because I would sand that color off. And then this stripes would still remain, because that gets deep in there. Because the curl acts like, the figure acts like, kind of like end grain, so it just soaks up material better, or easier. You can do this too. Go grab another glove. I haven't tried this one yet, so it's kind of fun. If you bear with me for a second. So here's the cocobolo mixture. I want to see what that looks like now that we're doing this. And I also brought over another mixture. So this is cocobolo and denatured alcohol. All I did was take a piece of cocobolo on my bandsaw, shaved off some pieces that fit into the mason jar, and just dumped a crap load of denatured alcohol in there. So this is that mixture, cocobolo. Okay. Trying to keep some sort of deviation between those two lines, materials. John, that's an imperial crap load. Freedom unit scrap load, yes. Only Freedom units here, except for the Festool stuff. Even though they're having the Freedom units now. And they're building the tracks in America now. Some of them at least, right? So that's some of that. And then I'm going to I put my lid on. Yeah, John, it's super cheap too. You know, just material I would have thrown away. It doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot of material to make this mixture. But here's some ebony I have. And I don't know if this is going to do any good, to be quite honest. I think it's going to suck. Because you can see that's relatively clear compared to the rest of them. So this is, I haven't tried this one because I wasn't too enthusiastic about it. Let me fill my rag slightly better. Scrap denatured alcohol and mason jar. That's all it is. We could try plain shavings, hand plain shavings. So this is the ebony and alcohol mixture. Very clear. But I think it's going to give me a gray look. I'm really putting this stuff on too. And this is a board that's probably been sanded to 80 grit on a drum sander. Maybe once. No, actually, I lied. This is fresh off the fresh off the bandsaw. I resawed this for a door I needed. Okay. Let me unfold this rag. I don't think it'll explode because it's not oil. But just unfold all your rags and you don't have to remember. I think that makes sense. Oh man, I love curly maple. You can never have enough. So I'm gonna dry this one off first because it's less color. Then I'm gonna switch my rag around. Dry the middle, which had the cocobolo. Okay. Derek is going to give me shit about my brush. That's fine. Okay. All right, so what do we have now? Kind of what I expected. So right here we have the ebony denatured alcohol mixture, which doesn't really do a whole hell of a lot, eh? See, it picked up a little bit, and it really, maybe it's too dense. Maybe it's too dense, the ebony, to really extract any oils from. Right here you have the cocobolo mixture right here, which to me gives you that antique curly maple look. I think it really looks nice, especially if you're trying to replicate that look. And over here, we have that padauk mixture that we made last week on TV. So you can see the three in the raking light. I think that's a good picture, right? Yeah, I think the cocobolo looks awesome. I think the padauk. So I'm still trying to get used to this backwards mechanism. So over here, the padauk, you can see, I think that's really going to look good. That mixture, once it's sanded and you just have the red left behind, you know, maybe it won't look as red if it's just this pearl. But yeah, look at that. I mean, it's add some shellac to the mix. We can do that. Same Derek, making small boxes. Yeah, making small boxes. You don't need a lot of dye. You don't need a lot of stain or colorant. And for small boxes, I think it would be okay to stain some maple. In general, I don't stain maple. because I love it just looking like maple, like clear. But bringing out the curl is really awesome. And John, I think you weren't here, or I don't know if you saw the other videos, but here's one I did one week. I think the first one. This was cocobolo, and I sanded this one down so you could see, and it's not great, but you see right here, it's just clear, that came through. And if this was properly milled and properly sanded and sanded 150 or 180, and then applied the dye, it would look a lot better. But really what we have is, you know, for cocoa, you know, it's, yeah, if you have cocobolo scraps, and denatured alcohol is like $5 for a gallon or whatever. You can't buy a gallon of stain or dye of any magnitude for $5. Yeah, once it's sanded, and let me read the comments in order, sorry. Yeah, Daniel wants to add shellac to the mix. I think that would be a good idea. That might provide more body to the stain. Small boxes, once it's sanded and has another finish over it, could be awesome. I agree. I love maple, but if you don't pop the grain on curly maple, then you leave potential on the table. Yeah, exactly. Next week I'll show you a curly maple table that I made, and I didn't do any treatment to the curl at all. So that'll be interesting just to see what that looks like. And also notice, be careful with this too, because you know, I've had this piece of maple sitting around for almost a year, and it's completely dry. So I just flooded it with that denatured alcohol, which is a volatile material, means it off gases. There's other meanings to it, but not getting scientific here. So it's not water, but it still bowed this panel considerably. And it wasn't perfectly flat to begin with, but you can see it still put a bow into the panel, which was flat-ish. And just in a few minutes, it did that. So it'd be interesting to see if I flood the other side, if it will spring back, but I don't really think there is. Yeah, there's literally potential on the table if you don't pop your grain. So you could do something to it. Yeah, John, that's 100% true. Your lumber stash is a potential of greatness, and it could be amazing. How long would I let that set up before sanding? Ideally, I'd want this to sit for more than 10 minutes. This was why I'm not going to do it now. I'd want it to sit overnight, to be honest, just so I know it's dry and it's off-gassed and it's not going to do anything. But you probably don't need to wait that long, maybe an hour, realistically. Derek, do you want me to go live in an hour and sand this board for you? Your show, buddy. So, going basically an hour and 14 minutes now, which is fine. We can keep going. I'll run this puppy for 7 hours. I don't care. I have coffee. We're ready to go. But yeah, not a week. You just want it to dry. And I want the stain to dry before sanding, because I don't want it bleeding over, kind of. See right here, we did this kind of wet, and it really doesn't look that great. It looks muddy. If we let it dry to its fullest potential, so to speak, then we don't get that muddiness. Okay. So just kind of a recap to this point, if you still want to hang out. We went over milling techniques. We went over milling this cherry board, just talking about it. I milled that by hand. All I used was a number 62 Lee Nielsen hand plane and a screw in the end of my bench as a tail vise. And what I did was that'd be a good backdrop. All I did was I flattened. Hand tool work is all about, well, woodworking is all about reference. You know, you want to reference a flat surface. So that's why a jointer and a planer are the most important tools. Yeah, John, if people want to see that, I can definitely do that. I can show you my technique for flattening small boards, and small meaning, I don't know how long this board is. 20 or so inches long by maybe 6 inches wide. Yeah, I can go over that. I can get another board out of my stock that's kind of crappy, and I can show you, yeah, it's funny. I'll show you the way people want to teach you how to flatten a board, and then I'll show you how I flatten a board, and they're different. I'll go into more of that next week. If that's what you want to see, send me a comment. And see, these comments disappear when the video goes post live, whatever word you want that to be. Yeah, I'm not flattening a 12-foot workbench board with hand planes, Derek. Maybe that can be, that's a Felder video when I do that one, buddy. So, just kind of to briefly recap what I did. So I flattened this board. I got one face flat, and then the other side looked like garbage, right? It looked like this is the other board. You see how much I had to take off to get that flat, right? Can you see that? See how wobbly that is? And rockety and rickety and crappy. So I got one reference side, one face flat, and then I took my marking gauge. This is a Veritas, just a wheel marking gauge. I think they're 20 bucks. So for my flat reference side, I went around the board with the gauge loose. There's different ways to do it. You can either go to a measurement, like that's a 1/2 inch, or you can just figure out how thick can I make this board. So you go around measuring with the marking gauge, not a tape measure, and say, all right, well, this side's flat. What's the biggest I can make that? Or if you're going to a measurement, you can just set this up for a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, whatever, and just scribe around it. So now I have a scribe line. Can you see that on TV? Yeah, you can see that. So now I have a scribe line. Now we'll do that all the way around the board. Then I would take, where are you at? Not on Discord, John. Are you in the Wood Talk forum? I'd like to know how you found out about this live video, if you don't mind. So after I scribed my line around here, and keep in mind, like this board looked like this one. So it's all crappy and dipped and where it was milled right here. This is where it was milled right here, and it's all like all crappy looking, right? And I had a big chunk out of it, and so hey, Anthony, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, Derek, just come up with some ideas, man. Awesome, John. Yeah, Derek, man. I mean, literally, I just do this for fun. This isn't anything, you know, I get sick of staring at my computer screen writing bids for 10 hours on end. So, awesome. Well, I'm glad you could make it, John. And now that Anthony's here, he must have gotten out of his meeting. So I just used this hand plane, this is the first hand plane I ever bought. Okay. Here's a funny story about this one. I think this is a Lee Nielsen, but I think it's like I don't know what number it is. Oh, 102. That's what I thought it was. So I bought this hand plane, this Lee Nielsen 102, back when Woodcraft still sold hand planes, or Lee Nielsen hand planes. And I went up there and I talked to the guy who was brand new to woodworking. And like I said, I had my rickety Delta contractor table saw that was maybe worth 50 bucks. My miter saw, and I had a bandsaw at the time, and I had my planer. That's all I had. And I told the guy, I was like, I'm getting into woodworking. I really want a nice hand plane. And he's like, oh man, have I got a deal for you, right? You know, it wasn't a deal. There's no special pricing. But maybe he used to sell cars, so that was his line. So he walks me over to the glass case with all the expensive hand planes in there that I couldn't afford. And he said, well, you need a number 4, you need a number 5, you need a number 7, you need all these things, right? And I said, hey man, I'm just getting into this. I don't have a lot of money. I just want something where I can, you know, round over some edges or do some ingrain stuff. And he showed me another hand plane, the Lee Nielsen adjustable mouth block plane. And yeah, I couldn't afford that one. That was like $165. I didn't have, you know. So he shows me this one, and it's just like 90 bucks, 80 bucks. And I was like, yeah, buddy, that looks nice. It was shiny at the time. It's tarnished now. You see a tarnish on it. This is old, man. And then it's got to be 4 or 5 years old. And he said, yeah, this one will do everything you want the other ones to do. It'll just take you longer because it's smaller. Man, was I sold. 90 bucks, I can get a nice hand plane, and the blade was sharp, and I have to mess with it, and I have to fight with it. And he said it could do everything I wanted to do. God, was he wrong? Or just flat out lying? Because it doesn't replace any other hand plane. Anyway, the point was, it doesn't have an adjustable mouth, so you can see my setting right there. It's about as thick of a cut as I can take and still allow the shaving to get out. So after I scribe my line all the way around the board, I chamfer that edge. I'm not going to do it here, but I chamfer that edge at like a 45-degree angle. You can kind of see, I just kind of eyeball it. Nothing spectacular here. So I just chamfer that edge at like a 45 to my line. And then basically I end up with a pyramid you know, because I have chamfers on all four sides. So I have a definite high spot that I need to plane down, and I have a reference side I have a reference on the side of the board to plane down to that'll give me parallel based on my marking gauge setting. So after you do this one, flattening the back doesn't take a lot of work. Getting this side parallel, that's all the work. So that's when I screwed a little screw to the bench and just hand planed away until I got it, removed all that hump material. And then, golly, hour and 25 minutes. No one's going to watch the rerun of this. That's fine, whatever. And then, awesome. Thanks for joining, John. This did run late. I'm planning on these being 45 minutes to an hour. An hour and a half is fine, but I know people don't have that much time to dedicate to it, and it's a lot for to ask for somebody to come rewatch it. So these are really meant just for live viewing. I could index the video. I think there's a way to do that to where someone could jump around like a table of contents type situation, and they could hear me confess my love to Tommy Mac in the first 10 minutes, and then again in 45 minutes, and then again in an hour. Anyway, that's basically in a nutshell how I flattened the board and got it parallel. And with that, I think we're going to call this one good. This video. I think we're going to wrap this video up right now. Unless anybody has any pressing questions, just take a second to see some comments come in, and if we have anything going on there. I really appreciate everybody showing up. I really appreciate the comments and questions throughout. That's really what drives this whole thing. The content, you know, the project videos will be my doing, and you know, a different pace. That's going to be much more enjoyable. I think this is enjoyable live, but I think the replay will be more enjoyable during project videos. And during the live videos, I'll talk about the content videos. I guess that's what we're calling them. You know, the project-based videos. Yeah, everyone but Carl, because I was going to ban him. Just because I think it would be fun. I don't even know how to do it, but I would have figured it out. So, during the project videos, I will certainly be, you know, a better pace and a different project, and hopefully it'll be a full project. It's not going to be, you know, watch me make a shaker workbench in 10 minutes. That's not going to happen at all. It's going to be hours of videos. It's going to be step 1 through 30. I'm going to go over the design. I'm going to go over how I, you know, drew up my prints, how I did each step, probably in more detail than a lot of people want to see. But then there's going to be a recap that's going to be pretty quick that people can watch if they don't want to learn, they just want to see something. So during the live videos, I will go over what's happening during the project videos and maybe show you some progress steps that a lot of other people won't be able to see unless they recap an hour and a half long video. So pretty much that's it. I think, you know, there's 5 people left in the, 5 people are still here. Y'all are amazing, really. I never thought that there's going to be 5 people total watching these videos, and now, you know, I'm gonna, like, for instance, I don't know if I can get off this screen and Yeah, but I think like 150 people watched some of these videos, or either I just watched it 150 times. Um, oh, Derek, it was up to 8. That's awesome. Daniel, really, thanks for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the questions and your time to come in here in your comments. And if there's something anybody wants to see during the live videos next week or in the future, just shoot me a message. Let me know what you want to see, and I'll do anything. Just as long as it's constructive and someone's learning something. I leave these live videos open for everybody. You know, it's not for me. Yeah, thanks, Anthony, for stopping by. Thanks for catching the replays. Really appreciate that. And please let me know. I can't stress this enough. If there's anything you want to see, let me know. Because I'm flying blind on these live videos. I'm just kind of talking, and if something pops in my head, I'll talk about it. Otherwise, it's completely comment-based and based on what you all want to see. I can rant and rave for an hour about something random if you want me to. I'd rather not do that every week. There's enough people that do that. One thing I do want to mention is one thing I will not do in videos. I won't talk bad about any content producer. I won't do it. I won't talk bad about anybody's products. I won't talk down to anybody making content, or, you know, if somebody wants to send in pictures of a project they're working on, you know, that's off limits. I'm not this isn't the mean channel. If I'm blunt and abrupt, that's just my personality. But there's a lot of people, you know, myself included, I'm putting myself out here for criticism, 100%. And there's enough people that are overly critical about people that are making things. Yeah, except, I guess jokingly, except for Carl. It's because he's not here. He can't defend himself. Whatever. So, I got a couple requests to do some comparison videos, and I jokingly said I was going to do it for some other products that are on the market. I think that's in bad taste. I won't mention what the project was or what the content was, because you'll know. And I refuse to get views like that. I don't care about, that's not why I'm doing this. So I have the best intentions at heart with my content. I really want to make sure that this is an enjoyable place for everybody. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that, if you didn't see me do a certain project or a certain comparison, it's just because as of right now, I don't have any projects that need that type of construction. I guess it's kind of giving away a lot of what I'm getting at here. But there's no need for me to do a comparison or a buy this instead of that, because you're going to buy what you want to buy, and that's fair. So now we're really winding down now. So I'm really going to cut this one off at this point. There's been a lot of, again, appreciate all of your comments. Really appreciate people getting to me ahead of time, so I have the opportunity to set something up for people to see. There's no, Ben, I won't even say that. You know, there's too much opportunity for comparison there. And I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible, even though the person that says that means a great deal to me. And quite honestly, I wouldn't be doing what I wouldn't be doing this, you know, if I wouldn't be doing this if that person, you know, whatever. No one's gonna watch the hour and a half long video. I wouldn't be doing live videos probably unless Mark had done them. Mark Wood Whisperer, Spagnolo. He put himself out there a lot sooner than anybody else did, and really created a really fantastic woodworking community, and gave us all a platform for learning and sharing. And you know, I refuse to model my videos after what he's doing, or anybody else. I do my own stuff, and I know some people go after what he's doing, and then they put it in their title, and they get views for it, and they get 1 million subscribers because they're bad-mouthing somebody, which I think is wrong. Anyway, to get off my soapbox of being a great person, because I'm not. I'm an average person who's putting himself out there and just wanted to level the playing field and address a few questions and comments that I've gotten over the last few weeks about why I won't do certain things. So I just wanted to address that. I know it took 10 minutes to say no, but that's why. So if there's anything you want to see next week, let me know in the comments when this goes post live, or send me a message. Probably got 30 messages last week. All of them were really the same thing, because a certain product was hitting the shelves, so to speak, or getting into people's hands. I think I've said enough about that. So moving on, let me know what you want to see next week, and we'll go from there. And if I see you in the comments, or in the Wood Talk forum, or Discord, or in my YouTube comments, my Facebook page, I should put a link to that. My company page in the comments somewhere, or the description. So I really appreciate everybody for stopping by and sticking with me for what's now an hour and 38 minutes, which is honestly an hour longer than I thought we'd be here today. So anyway, thank you very much, and see you next week. Thank you.